weighing in at 145½ pounds. Her record stands at 1 win, 1 loss. That win coming by way of knockout. Specializing in Muay Thai out of Port Moody, British Columbia. Introducing Julia Budd.
Hailing a hop, skip, and a jump from my hometown of Abbotsford, British Columbia. And believe me, looking forward to Mama Ranallo's homemade gnocchi this weekend. I don't know if Julia Budd's ever seen gnocchi, Stephen. She has all of the physical tools. Now it's an opportunity for her to continue to put all of the, well, mixed martial arts tools together, because she faces someone she's no stranger to.
No, she isn't, and Randamine got the win last time, but that was a Muay Thai fight. It was all stand-up. To achieve redemption against Randamine, Julia Budd will want to keep her hands up high and change rhythms constantly, but her ultimate path to victory may lie in the simplest approach.
Based on watching her fight mixed martial arts, I gotta get her going backwards and be aggressive. I gotta get her going backwards and take her down.
She has a BA in kinesiology from the University of British Columbia, a personal trainer and nutritionist as well. She helped former UFC light heavyweight champion Quinton Rampage Jackson lose around 45 pounds for his recent win over Matt Hamill. You mentioned it, her lone Muay Thai setback came against her opponent tonight. And of course, Julia Budd, the only woman to defeat Gina Carano in Muay Thai.
And her opponent, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 145 pounds with a record of 2 wins and 1 loss. 1 win coming by way of knockout. She specializes in Muay Thai out of Utrecht, Netherlands. Please welcome Germaine.
When you think about the combat sports scene in the Netherlands, you immediately think striking. Our good friend El Guapo Boss Rutten, Ernesto Host, Rob Kamen, Raymond Deckers, they all come to mind. But the Iron Lady, Germaine de Randamine, who went 46-0 with 30 wins via form of KO in Muay Thai, while training at Caesars Gracie for MMA, was hailed as the female Anderson Silva. That's quite heady praise at this stage of her career.
And she shrugs that off because that's a lot of pressure, and she knows with only 3 fights, and she's humble about that. She wishes she could be that, but her trainer, Fred Royers, gave her very specific instructions, and that was to go in and have fun. And of course, part of that having fun will be defending takedowns and being first in the exchanges.
You will see me put a lot of pressure on Julia. Pressure, and try to try to finish the fight as soon as possible. Submissions, punches, ground and pound, knees, kicks, elbows, it doesn't matter. I will throw anything to win this fight tonight.
Just like a lot of Dutch people, she began her athletic career playing soccer, but now is getting her kicks in a different way, going to kickboxing, Muay Thai, and of course now in mixed martial arts. Still very much a neophyte, but a great way to kick off Strikeforce Challenger 16 as we go to the tail of the tape.
De Randamine has 2-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage, which she obviously used all of that to win her 10 world titles in kickboxing. Let's see if it helps her tonight.
As we go to the rules, 3 judges chosen by the Washington State Department of Licensing will score each bout tonight using the 10-point must system. The winner of each round will receive 10 points. The loser 9 or less. Scoring is done based on effective striking, grappling, aggression, and cage control. There are no kicks or knees to the head of a grounded opponent. All 5 bouts tonight are scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds. And one more time, here's cage announcer Danny Miller.
We're scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds. Our referee in charge, Ryan Hoisington.
Red corner, ready? Blue corner, ready? Let's fight!
We are set for 3 5-minute rounds. Women's 145-pound action. Immediately, Budd closes the distance on de Randamine, pinning her against the fence. And Pat, Budd coming off a devastating knockout loss. What does that do to someone's mental game, knowing that in this sport it can happen at any time?
Well, it's a double whammy. It's going to motivate you. It's going to make you a little nervous about striking. And now that she's fighting a person who's knocked her out before in kickboxing also, it's kind of a double whammy probably for her, I would guess.
And Pat, we suspected that this would be Bud's game plan to shoot for the takedown.
Yeah, and Randamine's doing a good job of keeping her legs apart so far and stuffing the takedown, but Bud seems to be getting her hips in a little better now.
Randamine coming off a dazzling knee KO victory over Stephanie Weber on the Strikeforce event held in January. Now on her back, going for the guillotine on Bud. Arm is trapped as well. Bud in the half guard, delivering some elbows to the thigh area of Randamine.
That arm and guillotine is not even close to being sunk.
Well, she doesn't have her in guard one, and she needs to be thinking about getting position first before submission. That's kind of a rule that you follow from day one, so she needs to be thinking about that right now.
A rule you follow in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, position before submission, but in catch wrestling, it's a more aggressive attack, right, Pat?
Well, you can get submissions from anywhere, but why lose position going for a submission and getting pounded and losing the fight?
So right now, you think she's just expending unnecessary energy with a very low percentage attack here, and now Bud pops her head out and finds herself in top position.
Bud very methodical in her approach, and she's been doing exactly what she needs to do to get into the win column against this Dutch terror.
And Pat and Steven, during the fighter meetings, of course, you guys talked about the fact that this is what you thought Bud would do. Coming off the knockout victory, didn't want to risk getting tagged early and wants to control and just try to wear down Randamine on the canvas, and so far so good.
Yeah, and you know what? You think about Bud being a kickboxer and going up against a girl who's knocked her out in kickboxing before. It forces her to make her game better in areas where she hasn't been. And that's how mixed martial artists become good.
And now she transitions to full mount. Randamine trying to control her head. Bud wants to posture up, and again, Bud, a fitness model, just absolutely ripped physique. And now wants to maybe move her to the fence where she can start to ground and pound, delivering some shots to Randamine's body. Steven, what does Randamine have to do to get out of this precarious position?
Randamine has to get Bud over her hips so she can roll her over like that, but the fence is in the way now. Every time Bud slides up close with the knees under the armpits, it's going to be very difficult for Randamine to get her off of her. And she's got to buck her too every time she loads up to punch like that.
And Bud now with some ground and pound, but it's Randamine striking from the bottom. Taking a page out of Joachim Hansen's playbook. Steven, another fighter who actually derives a lot of power from his back striking.
I wonder if Bud is going to remember that these are unified rules and that elbows are allowed on the ground.
Well, she's going for the armbar. And now takes the risk and finds herself on her back, but an interesting move there by Bud as she transitioned to the armbar, but now Randamine finds herself in the open guard of Bud now with a wide standing base.
That's the thing that I always fear, and I've always told fighters for years, do not go for a submission until about 30 seconds, 20 seconds left in the round if you're going to lose position going for it, because then the round's over.
80 seconds left in the opening round. They clinch. Bud again, bull rushes Randamine to the fence. Randamine now looking to deliver some elbow strikes, has to be careful not only of the 12-6 illegal elbow strikes, but an elbow strike to the back of the head.
This is smart for Bud to go for the takedown again, because the last time she clinched up with Randamine standing, she got KO'd.
It's no secret there's a dearth of competition in the women's 145-pound division as Bud secures a takedown into Randamine's guard. Chris Cyborg, Strikeforce champion, looking for challengers. Not saying that either of these two ladies are ready, but here's an opportunity for them to send a message that they may be close.
I think possibly in the striking department, Randamine could hang with her for sure, and I'm sure you probably agree with that. On the ground, I don't think either one of them are ready for that.
I'm totally in agreement, Pat.
Less than 30 seconds remaining in the opening stanza. A lot of the action taking place on the ground. The majority of which has seen Julia Budd work from top position. She had mount, worked some ground and pound, went for the armbar. Randamine was able to reverse, went back up to their feet, and here they find themselves back where they started this round as we go to round two.
Won that round. Look at me. Okay, you still want it? Okay. You need to break the distance with your hands, and then go for that double and switch to that single, okay? You're finishing it with single legs, just like Junior said. Okay, Jules? You gotta put her on the back. I don't want any part of the stand-up right now. You use your hands with some...
In the first round, Bud doing exactly what we thought she was going to do here. She had a single, hoisted Randamine up and put her on her back. Randamine not understanding she needs to get the guard to have that guillotine. And I think she really just tried to hold on. And here's Bud With a couple minutes left in the round, she eventually goes for this armbar. Wasn't getting a lot of headway done with her ground and pound, and I think went for the armbar a little early in the round. Luckily, didn't pay too much of a price for it when she did.
Bud's trainer slash boyfriend, Lance Gibson, issuing instructions similar to what you and the fight professor thought. He said, we don't want any part of her stand-up right now, Stephen, and Bud looking to perhaps take this to the ground again as soon as possible, which against other fighters may not be her modus operandi.
The obvious thing to do here is get the win, and De Randamie hasn't shown to be very good on her back so far.
Yeah, De Randamie is loading up. She had her low stance to try and stuff the takedowns. Bud's showing superior power, though, in the wrestling area. I mean, she's locking her up tight. Really putting the muscle on her. She doesn't want any part of the striking.
And that shiner is starting to look like a windowsill underneath that left eye.
Fight Professor, how'd you score the first 5 minutes?
I had the first round 10-9 for Julia Budd. She controlled the action. She put it on the floor. She went for a submission. De Randamie landed a couple punches standing up, but it wasn't enough to even come close to winning the round.
I'm in the same boat with Steven.
De Randamie just doesn't know how to block the takedown.
She's not getting her leg outside of Bud's leg. Bud is trapping the leg, blocking it with her leg, and just tipping her over like she's tripping over a seat. Here it is. She's going to block the leg again. Let's see if she...
Pat, you're emphatic about how people can learn wrestling, and you think that they've got to go away and camp out and basically learn from wrestlers in their gym for like 2-3 months, correct?
If you're going to learn how to wrestle, you got to go live with wrestlers, get beat on by wrestlers, brawl with wrestlers, get yelled at by wrestling coaches, live that life if you're going to truly absorb it. You don't bring in one wrestling coach and a couple wrestlers to work with you. You got to go into a wrestling room at a college and get your butt kicked.
But there are different wrinkles to MMA wrestling than the wrestling that you have been used to. And by the way, congratulations on your induction into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame next month, an accolade well deserved. But what is the biggest difference or the adjustment to MMA wrestling from collegiate style wrestling?
Well,
in terms of
obviously the setups are different from the strikes, but once you're locked up with somebody, besides looking out for a few strikes, a few knees here and there with your posture, it's all the same thing. It's scrambling, understanding how to pick a leg here, how to change up and go to something else, just like you would going for a choke or an armbar in jiu-jitsu. It's the same thing. The transitions and the scrambles are what you learn.
I think that probably the one adjustment wrestlers had to make is not to leave that head open for a guillotine too.
Midway through round 2, Bud inside control. De Randamie looking to reverse, doing a good job of reversing position. Now has Bud along the fence. De Randamie now with an opportunity to showcase some offense. She's been stifled throughout the fight by the native of British Columbia. Wearing the blue gloves, De Randamie with a knee up the middle of the red, and there's the tie clinch, and there's De Randamie going back to her bread and butter. Muay Thai techniques along the fence.
This is a deja vu that Julia Budd wants no part of. She doesn't want to be plumbed. She doesn't want to be tie clinched. She wants to get De Randamie down on the floor and stay on top.
Right now, Bud's human Velcro just wanting to stick to De Randamie, looking to get her to the canvas. But again, expending energy here in the second round. De Randamie maintaining her base, putting her weight on Bud.
Yeah, doing a good job keeping her legs apart also on the double attempts. When Bud switches up to the singles, she's actually, I think, starting to catch on a little bit on defending things. She's feeling where Bud's going finally.
Let's not forget, De Randamie has 3 professional bouts as the takedown by Bud again. Bud, this is her 3rd professional bout, so both of them still very early in their MMA careers.
Randamie putting a lot of effort into that guillotine that's not there. Reason being, Bud's neck is protected by De Randamie's body, so she can't choke her with that.
Final 60 seconds of the middle round.
They're locked up in a stalemate here, but as Pat said, De Randamie using a lot of energy just hanging onto that neck.
And the onus from top position is on Bud to improve her position. She's in the offensive position here, even though she's in the middle of this guillotine choke attempt.
At the same time, though, it's tough because De Randamie, she's fairly inexperienced, obviously, on the ground. She's hanging on as hard as she can to that neck just to slow Bud down.
Yeah. Bud pops out. She's trying to pass into the mount again. Again, I'm surprised Bud hasn't thrown any elbows at all.
That's what I mean. Like, she's in top position. She is a noted striker. You want to send a message to the judges. Final 10 seconds of the second round. It's been Julia Budd controlling the majority of the fight on the ground, and we are headed to the third and final round.